All right, it's Friday, New York City. CeeLo is killing it. What is going on? It's the Boomer and Gio program on the Fan and CBS Sports Network, coming to you live from the Built Ford Tub Studio. 888-808-1019 is the phone number. We will take your calls at some point on the Mets, on the Yankees. We will get to, well, a lot of other things too. But because Boomer is out golfing, this starts for him. Let's see, yesterday, today, tomorrow, off to Pebble Beach. This starts a run for Boomer of about 9 straight days of golf. So if you don't think you've heard enough about golf on this show, wait till we get back next week when Al might quit. That having been said, with Boomer out and Gio out, my guy Willie Colon is to my left. Willie, what is up?
I appreciate the love. Fresh off the bench. Happy to be here, Jerry.
You and me both, yes. Remember, were we the fill-ins, the replacements? What did Jeff Ross call us?
Yes, we
Something
were
like
a couple
that.
weeks ago. We were in the seats.
Yes, we were. So looking forward to today because there's a lot of good stuff. It's weird because yesterday in the afternoon, I always like to check, especially when I'm doing the show the next day, around 5, 6 o'clock. I like to look at the paper to see what's topical, what's happening, what's going to be the lead story the next day. And I go to the New York Post, and at 6 p.m. last night, the lead sports story was Boomer Esiason rips Juan Soto. I'm like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
So that's a problem for tomorrow because I did that show with him, and I don't think we're going to rehash that. But it's funny because...
Was it a rip, though?
Oh, for sure. I think if you listen to that first 15 minutes, because I don't think we spoke much about the Mets after that first 15 minutes, it was, and he was very harsh on Juan Soto, and understandably so. I pointed out a couple of things I didn't like specifically from yesterday's or Wednesday's game as well, and then the collective season has been a disappointment. So yeah, I would say Boomer went after him pretty good, and rightly so. But I come in this morning and I'm thinking, all right. There were football games last night, but the locals didn't play. I'm thinking, we're not going to talk about Daniel Jones. No one cares about that. And then a couple of things hit me. We've got the Giants playing in Buffalo tomorrow. You've got the Jets playing tomorrow night in Green Bay. And there are actually several interesting storylines on what we are now 4 weeks away from the first official Football Friday. Well, here's your first official preseason Football Friday because I'm going to start. I know you're in tight with the Jets. We'll get to them in a second.
Yep.
And I love what Aaron Glenn said yesterday and the way he spoke. We'll get to him in a moment. But when I look at this Giant team as we go into tomorrow and what starts the journey of the 20 games, the 3 preseason games and the 17 regular season games, there's a couple of things that caught my eye yesterday. So the Giants released this video of Jameis Winston mic'd up on the field. Now, we had Jameis on last Thursday we were out there, Boomer and Gio and myself. And he was the first guest they had at 6:15 in the morning. It was fantastic. He came out barefoot. He was fun. He there's a presence about him.
By the way, that's really him. I think there's a perception that's him when the camera's on. If you've ever been around Jameis away from the camera, that's his energy. That's a natural. That's how he is naturally.
And it comes off as very natural.
Yeah.
And so watching the 5-minute clip that they released of him mic'd up yesterday, and the way he talks to the team, the energy he's got on the field. Now, Jameis hasn't won, Super Bowls in his career. He's not Tom Brady. I'm not saying that. And I know his career has been probably, I think he would say, disappointing based on where he came from in college. That said, I would ask you, because none of us have played professional football and Boomer's not here, can a guy like that lift up a team in terms of the energy that he brings and possesses, or does all of that crap go out the window once the ball is kicked off week 1?
No, I think that the energy is warranted when you're winning, right? I think that's when it starts off. But as for a reference to week 1, I mean, Jameis has kind of made a career of being a guy who exudes enthusiasm. And I think it's for a lot of guys who are young or necessarily don't know how the road is going to go for them within their career, especially playing football. He's kind of like that beacon of light. Because I think sometimes for a lot of guys, man, you forget that, it's a game. You have to enjoy the game. You have to enjoy, you've worked your whole career on making it to the pros, and here's your opportunity to display your talent and play for an organization that has great history. Enjoy the moment. And sometimes it's hard for guys to kind of pick their neck up and breathe, right? Because you want to do the best. You want to be your best. So having a guy like Jameis in the locker room who can be lighthearted and fun, it allows you to kind of breathe a little bit, which is tough for a young guy because all you want to do is play well. No doubt. And tough, I think, for a team and an organization that hasn't won much, aside from the 1 year where they went to the playoffs. And that, to me, is where I start to think, is it right guy, right team,
with a team that needs that type of personality, because you could make every case. And I know they got the Abdul Carters now and the Jackson Darts, and they don't know. They haven't been here. Russell Wilson really only knows winning for the most part. Even last year, they did go to the playoffs in Pittsburgh. So while they didn't win the Super Bowl, they won more games than they lost.
Sure.
So he brings a different presence too. But the collective feeling around the Giants is, especially if they go out and they lose week one, or going into week one where people don't think they have a chance to beat Washington, or week two they see Dallas. Dallas has owned us. All of a sudden, in comes Jameis, who might, I don't know, make the guys kind of forget all of that and maybe make the noise disappear, at least to get them off to a good start.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I hope that's not the case for the Giants, right? Like, I want to see Russell play well, because I think it's not about Jameis coming in. I think people will start clamoring to see Jackson Dart get in the game if Russ is not where he needs to be, or if he doesn't kind of lift the boats, if you will. So, but if Jameis is in the game, like I watched him again when he's with the Browns, like he didn't look bad, like especially because I think he beat the Steelers one time, and I watched that game and he played fairly well. Jameis is going to be just kind of consistent, calm. He's going to be the guy that calm the waters. He's going to be that backup.
And that's what I mean. I don't mean him playing. That's exactly what I mean in terms of that presence around the team to keep the spirits up.
Yeah, but I also think for the Giants right now, after the way last year ended, you want to see this team come out hot, right? In some fashion. You don't want to see this team look like a replica of what they looked like last season, because that'll be awful. With all the young talent, with all the hype that's kind of surrounding this team, you don't want that to look like week one. Like, oh man, nothing's changed. It was still the same old Giants.
Right. There are certain teams that can come out and look like preseason in September, and we've seen that now over the last several years, the way teams do treat it. Now, the Bengals last night, and we'll get to some other NFL stuff later, but Joe Burrow played not one but two series, two scoring
which
drives.
I think is important, Jerry. I
agree.
say it time after time. These coaches have to, like, I remember last year there was a big thing about Aaron Rodgers playing in the preseason or not. But yet you saw Patrick Mahomes, who had just won a Super Bowl, play in the preseason, right? You started seeing starters around the league play. And I think it's important, like, starters have to play. You have to build yourself up into the season. And this whole mindset, of getting guys to the starting line so they can be healthy and ready for the season, that's all good and well. But guys still have to play football to be good at football. And then sometimes I think coaches, they forget that. And then when a guy doesn't come out hot or looks clunky, it's like, well, what happened? He's getting old. He's not getting old. He hasn't played in a month.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like, what do you want him to do?
Right. So you had Joe Burrow play last night. I don't know. I know Jackson Dart's going to play this weekend for the Giants. I don't know about Russell Wilson or those guys. They're still trying to figure all that out. But the positivity and the positive outlook that I have for the Giants, and I will continue to repeat myself, I don't expect them to be a Super Bowl team. I don't even know that they're a playoff team, but I think they're going to look like a good football team, a better football team. And it starts to me with the fact of what they have in the quarterback room now.
Yep.
The fact that Malik Neighbors looks like a budding superstar. Mm-hmm. And I know on the offensive line with Andrew Thomas, I'm going to put him as a question mark right now, even though they keep saying he'll be there week one.
I think he'll be there.
I know that's a bit of an issue. I know that. But, I listen to Chris Long, who last time I checked, had a career with the Eagles. I mean, gushing over what this Giant defense might be and what it can be. And that, to me, is where you can win games.
Well, I think there's been so much talk about the front seven. You're talking about Abdul Carter, Dexter, Lawrence. Obviously, you have Brian Burns on the outside. But I think it's the secondary that people were really kind of gushing over because of Javon Holland and Paulson. This secondary, they didn't have a pick in 11 straight games, right? So now you're looking at a secondary that can really hold its own, which is going to only complement the front end of defense, right? When you have these big time edge pass rushers, when they have the ability to get out the quarterback because everybody's doing their job on the back end, it just makes for Giant football, so to speak, the brand of which a lot of old school Giants fans are used to, that kind of dominant defense. So we'll see what happens, but I think a lot of people are going to be surprised how well the secondary is going to play. Yeah,
well, and also the secondary can be helped out too by the pass rush.
Yep,
we're expecting
hand in hand.
We are expecting these guys to get after the quarterback on every down, and if that's the case,
but if you can't cover, you can't get to the quarterback.
True. But if you're putting immense pressure on the quarterback too, you can force them into bad throws and bad plays.
Obviously, yep.
So it'll work hand in hand. So very interesting with the Giants as we get into tomorrow, and then we kind of look more towards the season as we go week by week into September. All right, with the Jets. So I don't know if you saw, I'm sure you did, but Aaron Glenn was asked yesterday about, this is what I love about his press conferences. He gives you an answer, and he sticks to the answer.
Have you turned the corner on him? Because I thought you was a little shaky on him.
No, I wasn't shaky.
Well, reference, because I think I heard you say something about his press conference. Like you just want him to win. You wasn't really kind of really?
I think if you go back to his opening session with the media when he first got the job, there was, we were talking about, what was that, April, May, whenever it was, March, April, May. If you go back, you're months away from the season. It's when you actually, the coaches are a little looser, and he was a stick in the mud.
And I thought he had to be.
Well, I guess, but you're talking to reporters.
But it felt like everybody was like, "Man, this guy's like coming off as a true hardo," and I'm just like, "Man,
which is
things
fine.
Haven't been well."
I understandably so, but no, I have no issue with him at all. I actually think what he's doing is needed over there, and I do hope that it goes well for him. What I loved yesterday was when they asked him about, are the players going to play, and he goes, "Players will play," and they said, "Why?" Because I decided the players are going to play. Well, what do you want to see? What made you make that decision? Because I want them to play. Like, it was just a great back and forth, and it seems like outside looking in, you're there a lot more than we are, obviously. It seems like he's got full control and command over this team.
Yeah, for me, that's expected. I think to your point, the type of ball player he was, how he stepped into the building and took on the role as a new head coach. I think even how training camp has gone, there's been a lot of reports of it being a physical training camp, that they're really trying to realize, like, hey, you can win games being a physical outfit, right? Yeah, there's talent and there's scheme, but if you're a physical team, man, that could squeak you 2 or 3 wins. And I'll say this to the day's end: tackling, catching, and blocking are all the essentials of football. If you're able to do those 3 things well, you have a shot of winning games. So I think he's just trying to get this team and everybody on our roster to realize, like, hey, man, it's not going to be a cakewalk for us, right? Like, even though we have these pieces and things look like they're on the up and up, we still got to go out there and do the right thing, and do it fast and play our brand of football. And they just want to be physical. A reference to them being like Detroit last year, I think there still needs to be more talent. Obviously, people sneeze that Jared Goff is, he kicks ass at quarterback. Mm-hmm. So, and so they got to figure out from that standpoint. But the Jets, man, I'm glad Aaron Glenn is saying, hey, man, we're all going to participate because we all got to see what we got right now.
And I imagine that, being physical means a lot of running the football, getting back to the ground and pound type of stuff that you're certainly aware of. Here would be my question, though. Can that work in the 2025 NFL? Meaning it's become a pass-first league. The rules are set up for you to get the ball down the field. They make it very difficult on the secondary to do anything. Do you think a run-first type of team, if in fact that's what they turn out to be, which I think that's what we're expecting, can that work?
Yeah. We have 3 really, really good running backs. Obviously, Breece Hall, I think, is the most talented out of 3. Breland Allen is probably the best back that can run between the tackles. Isaiah Davis, who we didn't see a lot of, it probably complements them both. I think there's a lot of talk of Breece pretty much maybe lining up in the slot at times because he has really, really good hands from a running back standpoint. I think Aaron Glenn is going to use everything he got. I think seeing a multi-back offense. And then you got to understand, Justin Fields is a dynamic runner at the quarterback position. So I think we're going to get a lot. I do think it can exist. We've seen, Aaron Glenn has seen it in Detroit. He's also seen it in New Orleans when he had Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara. So having a 2 to 3 back offense that can really add momentum to an offense, especially a quarterback who we know he can't be a guy who could throw the ball 30 or 40 times a game. That's not his game, right? You have to kind of slow down his volume in reference to throwing the ball. And one thing that can help him out is being able to run the ball. So
is that why, 4-2 with Pittsburgh last year before they turned things over to Russell Wilson, obviously. Is that why he was successful? I didn't see enough of their games. I saw maybe 1 of the 6. I did not see all of them for sure. What was it about? Was the 4-2 fake? I always wondered if you're winning, and I know they had Russell Wilson there, but you're winning, you're 4-2. You're winning 66% of your games. You continue to do that, you're going to be a playoff team. You're going to be a good team. Yep. Was it a fake 4-2?
No, I don't think it was a fake 4-2. I think Steelers defense obviously was able to show up each and every game while he was at quarterback. But I also think he evolved. I thought he got better. A lot of Justin Fields' issues was his mechanics and his ability to hold on to the ball too long. But I think people forget when he was at Ohio State, he was asked to do that. Right? He wasn't a quarterback that was asked to get rid of the ball really fast. He was asked to hold the ball in the pocket and look for the big play down the field. Right? So when it just didn't, he hasn't turned the corner in reference to playing today's NFL game, which is get the ball out fast, see it, let it go. Those quick hitches and all this stuff that allows quarterbacks to kind of move the offense. He just hasn't evolved. And then on top of being a part of, he had 3 different offensive coordinators and all this other nonsense. So I think he's always been kind of behind the 8 ball. Hopefully he gets here where things aren't as impulsive, that they're not, kind of rushing him out the door if they don't get instant success, and they allow him to grow. And hopefully it happens. But I think the kid is going to be solid. I mean, I know his training camp has been a little bit up and down, but we'll see, man. I wish him the best.
It's funny with the with social media these days. I always think back when we were kids in the 80s. We didn't know anything about training camp.
No.
I don't know about you, but for me, it was you would get the weekly newspaper from the team, and literally it was information from the past 7 days. It was interviews, but you didn't have this instant information of what's going on. And
I hate the whole stats culture coming out of practice right now.
But that's what it is.
It absolutely chaps my tail. Because I think if you're not allowed to make you're not allowed to make mistakes in practice, then what are you doing? Right? How do you involve? How do you get better?
There's a double standard, too, with baseball and football. In football, if you're not playing well in training camp, it's, oh, my God, the sky is falling. This guy can't do this. This guy sucks. This guy's not any good. In baseball, in spring training, you have your ace go out, give up 3 home runs in the first inning. They'll tell you after the game, was working on the splitter, having some trouble, but it's it's March. It's we're good.
Yeah,
and we take that as gospel.
And
That's
you believe
fine.
it,
and we do believe it.
Yeah.
In football, we don't seem to give these guys that month to work their kinks out before the season begins.
Yeah, when you start seeing guys go 0 for 3 in the red zone, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? Because it doesn't. First of all, it doesn't explain the scenario, right? It doesn't explain what they were looking at and why they went 0 for 3. It doesn't explain who was in the game, who was not in the game. There's so many unknowns to that one stat. But if you see that, especially if you're a diehard, you're like, oh man, this is the stuff I was talking about going into the season. We can't see. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I can imagine being graded into practice. Like, your coaches and your position coach, they'll put the stamp on you to see if you're, above the water and you're doing well. But to be like, to have that posted into the news?
Oh, yeah.
And, for that to be a thing where, I'm now being judged how I perform in practice? That's we got to chill out. That's wild.
When something does look good, we make it as if they just won the conference championship game where they're going. And by the way, I was part of that. In 2007, when Brett Favre came to the Jets, I was out at Hofstra, and I remember I wasn't tweeting, but I not at the time yet. I don't think that was until 11 or 12. But I remember calling into this station with reports, man, you guys see the way the ball comes out of Favre's hand. This guy's unbelievable. Yeah. They're going to win all these games. I was part of that.
But you weren't giving stats, Jerry. What you were like, man, he was 350.
I might have.
Really?
100% I might have been part of it. I might have been. I'd have to go back and see if we have the tapes to find out what the reports. But yeah, I might have done reports from Hofstra.
Shame on you if that's
Brett
the case.
Favre was 5 for 5.
Shame on you.
But that's what we do.
But who wants to hear that? If you're going into Sunday Brett had a really good practice this week. He went 2 for 3 on this scenario. He in a 2-minute drill, he let him down the field with ease.
Have you seen social media?
No, of course I know what social media is, but I think it's nonsense. We shouldn't be here.
I agree with you. That's my point. I was part of it,
but if you're
it annoys me now.
But if I'm reading Jerry's, if I'm listening to your report of practice going into Sunday's game against the Bills, a game that we need, and that gives you extra gusto because of what Jerry said or what he saw in practice,
thank you.
that would piss me off. You know what I mean?
You were the fan.
It would piss me off.
You mean the player?
And fan.
Fair enough. Well, that's kind of where we're at. So.
Yeah, it's nonsense. That's ridiculous.
Exactly, until it really counts. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we've got CeeLo in here. Until then, it is Willie and Jerry until 10 o'clock. It is The Fan. It is CBS Sports Network on a Friday morning in the very quickly fading summer.
Yeah, bye-bye summer.